All right. Hello, hello. Think we are live now. So we didn't have an AMA today, but I wanted to hop in here and go live because there's something that I want to share with you guys. I was going over my course program, my coaching program, and I figured there's something here that I wanted to share with everyone outside of the coaching program. And I wanted to talk about mindset, especially when it comes to growth, right? A lot of people talk about mindset, and there's a lot of things about it that you can search and you can read about and you can watch. But there's also a lot of people that ignore the importance of mindset. And I've spoken to some in this group, and when you talk to them about this, to them it's like it's sort of a woo woo kind of practice when in terms of when it comes to business or personal development. So what we're going to do today is we're going to address the reason why mindset is a critical step. It's the critical first step if you want to grow, right? Because growth requires change, and this applies on any kind of growth, whether it be physical growth, spiritual growth, business, personal growth. It requires you to change from something to something, right? And the biggest detractor to change is having the wrong mindset. And change requires the right mindset because it's the mindset that pushes you, that pushes us. So for example, if it's tough going to the gym, and I'm speaking for myself. It's tough going to the gym, but once you're in the gym and working out, it gets easier. But trying to get myself to want to go is the tough part. So it's the right mindset that will push. If you've ever been in that situation, you know that it's the mindset that will push you in either direction, right? Whether going to the gym or just eating out, it's what pushes you in that direction. And same thing when you're ready at the gym and you're working out, you're doing your sets, you're doing your reps. It's the right mindset that will push you to do that very last rep instead of bringing the weights down. Or talking to your crush, right? If you want to talk to your crush, or or should you just keep on looking at his or her Facebook profile, right? It's the mindset that pushes you into doing one thing or the other, or just asking somebody out, whether asking somebody out or keeping the relationship imaginary, or if you want to, whether you want to pursue a dream or just keep living your life as is, right? So there's a mental struggle whenever you run into those choices, and that mental struggle, whether to do one thing or the other, is usually caused by fear. And there's always that fear, right? There's always going to be fear regardless of what you do, whoever you are. There's always going to be fear, but and it's the right mindset. We keep going back to mindset. It's the right mindset that will help you crush that fear, whatever that is, and push you in a direction where there are a lot of unknowns, right? Because fear is just your reluctance to do something because of the unknowns of that choice, right? But fear is not a bad thing at all. It's actually the thing that keeps us from hurting ourselves. So there are some fears that are legit, right? There are some fears that you should listen to, but most fears, most of the things that we fear of, can be mitigated. So imagine if every time you feel fear and you surrender to that fear every single time, right? There's always something to be afraid of. But every time imagine if you surrender to every single fear that you face, then then we will never grow. Things will never change and we will never grow because we're always, every time that fear strikes, you surrender, you give up. So it's important to understand why you're afraid of doing something, right? So whenever again, we're having that mental struggle, and on one hand, it's just easier to not do anything, but on the other hand, there's that fear, right, of the unknown. So really, at that point, we need to understand why you're afraid of doing something. What is it that makes us scared of the unknown, right? And we're going to talk about what steps we can take to mitigate that fear. And again, it's in our core, right? As human beings, fear is part of our psyche, because there's that comfort, that there's a comfort level that's hard to leave, that's hard to depart from. So what I'm going to share with you today are three secrets, right? I'm going to share with you three secrets on how to cultivate a mindset that's suitable for growth, right? It doesn't matter what you want to grow out of or what you want to grow into, whether it's business, personal, relationships, it doesn't matter, right? Because I know growth, we all know that growth is uncomfortable. So I'm gonna share three secrets, right? And secret number one, it's important to hang on. I'm not sure if I'm seeing your comments here. Comments. Okay. So, okay, secret number one. One thing you need to know is that mindset is anchored by beliefs, right? Again, mindset is anchored by beliefs. And we all have different beliefs, and beliefs are instilled in us by stories, right? So beliefs are instilled in us by stories, and these are either stories that we read. So, for example, if we talk about religious beliefs, right? If you're a Christian, these are stories that were instilled in you by reading the Bible, right? Same thing if you're a Muslim or if you're Jewish, right? It's based on the stories that you were told or that you read in the Quran or the Torah, right? And depending on how much you read, that belief gets stronger and stronger, right? Same with not just religious beliefs, every other belief, right? Sir, whatever it is that you believe, whether you read it from a website or the news or whatever source of information that you deem reliable, that's what creates the story inside you that you believe in. So, for example, I do belong to some cooking groups. So there's some forums, there's some communities on Facebook, like a cooking community, where the more people talk about, for example, carbon steel pans, right? And they're saying that it's better than cast iron pans. The more people talk about it, the more they read about it, the more they're convinced that one is better than the other, right? So these are beliefs that's based on stories that they read, and these are also based on stories that were told to us by people that we love and trust. So it doesn't have to be necess- it doesn't necessarily have to be a story. It could be a personal experience or an experience of someone that we trust. If they tell us a story, then that could turn into a belief, right? Without even without experiencing whatever that is. But most importantly, it's also instilled this, certain beliefs are also instilled in us by our own experiences, by our own stories, right? These are things that maybe things that happened to us or things that we experienced firsthand. One example here is when I was a boy. I don't even remember how old I was. I was a kid. I would say 7 or 8. It was the first time I had mustard. Right, that was the very first time. This happened in the Philippines, and I had Wendy's hamburger for the first time. So, if you grew up in the Philippines, you know that Filipino burger places like Tropical Hut or Jollibee or even I think even McDonald's. I'm not sure McDonald's. They don't use mustard on their burgers, right? But first time I had Wendy's hamburger or cheeseburger, it had mustard on it, and it's the first time I remember. That was the first time I tasted mustard, right? And I wasn't too. I didn't like it. I didn't like the taste of mustard. And after I had that burger, I got sick. All right. So I've correlated the mustard flavor to me getting sick. So for the longest time, I hated mustard, and I never liked mustard until after about 20 years ago, and I was already here in the U.S. when I had I love In and Out Burger. So when I found out that if you order the animal style burger, which is my favorite, that it actually has mustard, that they actually put mustard, yellow mustard, on the meat, and they grill it with that. And apparently that's what makes it better than the regular hamburger and cheeseburger. So, and I couldn't believe it because I knew I hated burgers. Oh, I hated mustard, and and I knew and I believe that when I eat or if I eat mustard, I was gonna get sick, right? So I had that really strong belief for years based on that one experience. But after learning that also my favorite burger that I've had many times had mustard, that shattered that belief, right? That mustard will make me sick. And now I don't love mustard. I don't crave for it. But if a recipe calls for it, I use it and I eat it. So it doesn't make me sick. So that's just one example, right? We all have certain stories that happened in our lives that solidified a certain belief, right? And if you look back, you probably have a similar story like that where you had an experience and that's the story that you keep telling until another story disproves that or shatters that belief, right? So the point I'm trying to make here on this secret is that if beliefs can be instilled by stories and experiences, that means it can also be crushed by other stories and other experiences, right? So if you have a limiting belief that prevents you from taking action, whatever it is, how do you overcome that? How do you get over that? Well, you look at other people's success stories, right? Talk to these people. Talk to people that have been in your shoes, that were in your shoes yesterday, but they were able to take action, or they were able to overcome something that you're struggling with right now, and ask them about the same fears that you have, and be curious, right? That's one way to shatter that limiting belief, because at the very least this will tell you whether that is you're trying to overcome is impossible or not. Because sometimes we think something is impossible, right? Because of whatever belief that is, and that's what's holding us back. But if you see someone else do the same thing you're trying to do, and you talk to them, and you find out that, hey, you were in my shoes yesterday. What did you do to push yourself to take that action, and learn from it, right? Again, at the very least, it'll tell you that what you're trying to accomplish is possible. So this actually goes way deeper, right? So if you look at the stories that you used to tell yourself that changed over time, think about it. What is it that changed? Is it a story? Is it an experience that something you experienced, or a story that you've been told? What made you change your story, right? And feel free to share, in if you're watching this live, or if you're watching this on a replay later, put something in the comments, and share that story, what that story is before, what that story is now, and what made you change that story. Because that tells you, and that tells us that beliefs can be changed, right? It just depends on certain factors. How strong is that belief, right? And how much stronger is the new experience that it's able to shatter that old belief, right? So, if you, I read somewhere that the only way to cut a diamond is using another diamond. So that means you need to have something harder than your original belief to shatter it. But it does happen. Mine is just one example with the whole mustard thing. I'm sure you guys have your stories about that, and feel free to share it. I would love to hear it. And that's one secret, right? That mindset is anchored by beliefs. Now, the second secret is that discomfort is inevitable. Discomfort is inevitable. We all want to live in our comfort zones, right? And that's why things don't change. Certain things in our life don't change because we always want to be in that comfort zone. If we want to be something, or if we want to do something, if we want to say something that is outside of our comfort zone, it's to most people it's difficult. Like, we'd rather just not change. We'd rather just stay here because it's more comfortable. But what I'm saying is discomfort is inevitable, because growth is uncomfortable, right? If you look at a teething baby, when a baby is teething, he or she cries and cries, right? And that's actually how the parents know that they're teething. And the parents, they don't prevent the teeth from coming out, because and even from the parents' point of view, it's uncomfortable for them too, because they don't want to see their child in pain, right? So it's uncomfortable. That process is uncomfortable for both the baby and the parents. But that teaches us that pain is a part of life, right? It doesn't mean that you're just gonna sit there and watch them go through the pain. I mean, as parents, you find out ways to soothe the pain, right? But you don't stop the teeth from growing, because you can't. That's just impossible. But there are ways to soothe the pain and discomfort. But again, discomfort, that discomfort is inevitable. If you have a child, if you have a baby that's growing, that child is going to have discomfort, right? And even if that baby grows and he or she learns how to walk, it's only a matter of time that he or she will land on the floor face first. And it's okay, because that's part of what they call growing pains, right? And eventually they will also learn how to run, and they will trip and fall, and it's also okay. So Growth itself, you have to understand that growth is a series of change after change after change after change, right? Because if you're not changing, you're not growing, right? So that's secret number two. Secret number three is that it takes a village. You probably heard that saying before, that it takes a village, because you cannot go alone. There's no way that you can grow, maybe physically, because physically you just, you know, it's just a part of growing. But if you want to grow, if you want personal growth or spiritual growth or business growth, you cannot do it alone, right? So to keep growing, you need people around you that operates on the same mindset, or at least within a similar wavelength, right? So you need people around you that actively encourage you on this journey of change, on this journey of growth. Because there's always going to be people that will discourage your path, because and and some people think that they're doing you a favor by discouraging you from doing something. But remember, they just have a different mindset, because what? They have a different story. They have a different experience. So their experience or their stories, they may feel strong about discouraging you because something bad happened to them, or whatever that is, whatever that story is, right? So you can't avoid that. You can't avoid people from discouraging you to change or to grow. But as long as you have more people on the positive side, more people to encourage you to keep pushing forward, then you you're not gonna let the negative people discourage you right away, right? So the key is finding that balance and making sure that you have more people that encourage you versus people that that discourage you. And things will get tough, especially any kind of personal growth, personal development, business development. Things will get tough, and when it does, you need people that will cheer you on. You need people that will remind you of everything that we're talking about today, right? So you should pick the right people to surround yourself with. Whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, there's communities for a lot of things. Even just on Facebook, there are groups for anything and everything. So these are groups that support each other, that share the same passion, and being in a community that helps you. They help each other, kind of, they help push each other forward in getting to where they need to be. Yes, there's going to be trolls. There's going to be, just people trying to annoy you or to distract you. But again, as long as you surround yourself with more people to encourage you, then that'll help you with that growth journey, right? So those are just the three secrets, and whatever it is that you want to grow out of, or whatever it is that you want to grow into, you need to start embracing discomfort. So you have to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because life, relationships, and entrepreneurships, it's a journey, right? And in this journey has ebbs and flows. There will be times where you'll be on cloud nine. There will also be times where you fall flat on your face. And when this happens, those who don't have the growth mindset, those are the ones that don't stand up, and those are the ones that just stop, right? But again, special entrepreneurship, it's failure, glory, failure, glory, failure, glory, right? even if you think you have the perfect strategy, but if that strategy calls for a change, and that change will cause you pain or discomfort, having the wrong mindset will prevent you from executing that strategy. So you may have people around you that are cheering you on, and at that moment you know you feel empowered, right? If people are cheering you on, we are empowered and we love that feeling. But when you come back to your own thoughts, when those people aren't around, we're back to our own thoughts, and sometimes what happens is the doubt and the fear creeps back in, right? And that happens. And if you have the wrong mindset, and if you're not prepared for it, then what happens is it'll take you back to square one, right? Because you need to be able to do this on your alone time, when you're with your own thoughts. And even if you consider yourself successful today, I mean, I know people that were an overnight success. They thought of an idea, they executed, and boom, they're successful, right? Or even if you're someone who had a streak of fortunate circumstance, you need to be able to have a growth mindset to be able to continue. Because yes, overnight success, or you know just good things happening one after the other, that means it's only a matter of time when you will run into an issue, you will run into a roadblock or a brick wall, right? And where you have to face a difficult decision. And during those decision points, that's when you'll have a struggle, right? Because that's when your resilience need to shine, and that's when you need to have a strong mindset. Just remember, it's the mindset that will tell you whether to give up or push forward. So if you're someone that works out at the gym, and remember those reps, right? If you've ever had a personal trainer, remember those reps that your body thinks you can't do it anymore, but then your coach or your instructor keeps pushing you. You can do this, you can do this, and then next thing you know, you're able to do one or two more pushes, right? Because remember, it's it, it's mindset. It's not the strength. It's not courage or fear, right? It's all starts with the mindset that will give you that one final push that you need. And this reminded me of I was reading, I was actually watching an Elon Musk story about SpaceX, his rocket company, right? He had a lot of money, and he basically just burned through all that money. And it was his, he had to pull everything together. He had to pull borrow money from friends and family, but he had that one chance, right? And he had to push through it. And he even got emotional when he was talking about it. And he had to push through it, and then that's when he got that successful launch that took him to the next step, right? And that was, I'd imagine that was a very difficult place to be in. But yeah, I mean, if you're someone who's struggling with growth, especially with your business, you can, feel free to connect with me, and I will walk you through the necessary steps that you need to get you to the right trajectory, right? Wherever it is that you're trying to improve on. And a lot of people don't realize that it takes it takes a small hinge to swing a big and heavy door. And sometimes all it takes is just one conversation with the right person that'll plant that seed that'll hopefully bloom into, to bloom and groom you with the right mindset. So it's just something I wanted to share with you. I appreciate you hanging out in this live Facebook live, and yeah, I hopefully you get something out of this, because I always do it. As a person, we always keep on growing, right? And we always run into problems. We always run into to these blind corners where we lose our confidence because we don't know what's on the other side, right? But then again, what pushes us through is the right mindset. So thanks again, and I will catch you on the next video.